All right, you are watching Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV. I'm Frank Morano. John Tobacco is at our Southern Command in Florida. And you know what that means is that I am the lucky one that gets to sit next to and enjoy the wit and wisdom of the lovely and talented Martha Boneta, the chairperson and vice president of Vote America First. Martha, it's so good to see you again.
It is so good to see you. Love being in New York, and I love everything you and John do.
Well, you are somebody that has been on the forefront of the conservative movement for a long time. And when it comes to property rights, when it comes to religious freedom, you've been a real warrior in terms of not only being outspoken, but actually getting some progress made on a lot of very important causes. I want to ask you a little bit about the 2020 election. We saw 12, I call them the dirty dozen, that we saw 12 Democratic candidates in this debate on CNN the other night. I wasn't sure Anderson Cooper, whether he was a candidate or not. He was talking so much. Give me your take on how the debate played out, you think?
It was stunning that Ellen DeGeneres was actually infused into the Democrat debates. There was no discussion of immigration. There was no discussion about...
Well, that's not important. Come on.
Right. Even though, polling shows that most Americans care about immigration and the urgency we have at our borders. And instead of focusing on what the American people actually want to hear about, they infuse Ellen DeGeneres into the debates. And here's another example again where the winner of the debate was Donald Trump.
I know you're a big Trump supporter.
The president was the winner.
And you've predicted that he's going to win in 2020. But of all the candidates on that stage, who do you think would give him the most run for his money?
There's nobody on that stage that can compete with President Trump. I mean, you've seen him debate. He's a force to be reckoned with. He speaks to the heart of what the American people want to hear. And, the American people are tired of polished, orchestrated politicians that are very careful about everything that they say. And he speaks his mind, and the American people can't get enough of it. We see it time and time again. Look at the rallies. There's another rally in Texas coming up. People have been camped out literally for days to have the opportunity to attend these rallies. And it's because they love this president. They love the way he speaks. And there's no viable candidate that can compete with him.
Well, I think so much of the Trump formula for success was not just about him being a personality that people really liked, but he was speaking to a level of populist unhappiness that no other politician has spoken to in a generation. And today, what we're seeing out of the UK, I think, might be something similar. We're seeing apparently there appears finally to be some sort of a deal on Brexit between EU and Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister there. Now, you have actually been to the United Kingdom. You've been with Nigel Farage, who's the head of the Brexit Party, and a member of the European Parliament. Do you think in some ways the Brexit movement and the Trump movement are sort of two sides of the same coin?
Very much so. Very much so. Nigel Farage has been fighting this for a very long time. Very long time. And there were some moments, as you know, when we didn't know that there was any kind of agreement that could be reached. But certainly President Trump has been a catalyst to inspire.
Is there a frog in here? What is that?
Folks fighting for Brexit to keep the fight on.
All right. Now, you have chronicled at length the battles for religious freedom that are going on all over the world. And we have an image of Vice President Pence and President Trump at the UN. But religious freedom is something that I think a lot of us take for granted. But there are some real battles going on in the world right now for religious freedom and religious liberty. Tell us about some of them.
All over the world. And this is the first president and the first administration, both President Donald J. Trump and Vice President Mike Pence, that have made religious freedom, stopping the persecution of Christians, for example, all over the world, put it on a national platform.
So that's a real thing. Christians right now are being persecuted all over the world.
Absolutely, all over the world. And in fact, President Trump made it a platform issue at the UN. The first time any president has ever done that before. And of course, this is an issue that's near and dear to the vice president as well. The American people very much value freedom, and that means freedom for everyone. And that means freedom, religious freedom as well, regardless of what you believe in, to have the freedom and the right to practice the faith of your choice.
What exactly is Vote America First? If people aren't familiar with your group, what do you guys do exactly?
Vote America First. We entrench all over our great nation to support not only the re-election of the president, President Trump, but also to support candidates that support the president's America First agenda, the America First platform. We also get behind and advocate for policy that helps promote American liberty, American freedom, and to create as much opportunity, if not more, that we have now for generations to come. And we do that by entrenching in communities all across the country, providing the tools that hardworking Americans need to know how to organize.
Is there a website that people could check out if they want more information?
It's VoteUSA. #1.com.
You know, Martha, there are so many issues in the news that I'd love to get your take on. You mind sticking around for a few more minutes? I think John Tobacco may check in with us once again from Florida, and he'd never forgive me if I let you leave without him having a proper opportunity to say hello. Martha Boneta is going to stick around. I'm Frank Morano. I'm going to stick around. John Tobacco is in Florida. He will be returning. If you want to weigh in on any portion of our conversation, you can find me on Twitter at Frank Morano. It's Frank Morano, or our show at Liquid Lunch TV. And coming up next hour, there are a number of very interesting issues related to the workplace. We're going to break them down with employment attorney Jonathan Bell. And there is another attorney that has a different political perspective than Jonathan Bell does. That's Taisha Powell. And she's written a new book that describes what America will be like if Donald Trump loses in 2020. I haven't read the book, but spoiler alert, it will not be a pleasant place. We'll get into that and a whole lot more with respect to Nancy Pelosi storming out of the White House yesterday and the latest on impeachment. If you're not already bored to tears with that, we'll continue next on Liquid Lunch TV. I'm Frank Morano. We'll be right back.